Hey there, Untracked here. In this video, we're going to go over using the get restore and get clean commands to answer the following three questions here. So how can I unstage and revert all changes of one file back to its latest commit? Secondly, we're going to do the same thing here, but we're going to operate on all files and directories instead of just one file at a time. Also, we'll go over a little side topic on, how you can do some basic filtering, like maybe you just want to do it on a directory of files, but not everything. And then lastly, we're going to go over how can we delete all files and directories that aren't tracked by get. And all this really translates down to, let's say that you're working on a project, you've got some, git commit history there, but you've been playing around some files and folders, you haven't commit anything yet, you may or may not have staged things, and now you just want to revert those files on disk back to their latest commit version. Basically, you want to unwind some of the work that you've done here without having to manually just open up your code editor and undo the changes that you may have done manually. So that's where we're going to focus on this video here. And I've got an empty directory, so I am going to do all the stuff from scratch here. Now we have a initialized get repo here. And I don't know, let's touch some files here, 1, 2, 3, just so we have some stuff to play with here. Maybe I'll do a make dir p on, I don't know, a little bit lazy today. So let's just use some horribly named foobar directories here. And I don't know, let's touch something in one of these directories here, like cool, done. Okay, so now we've got, a decent amount of files and directories here inside of a working directory to play around with here. Well, I shouldn't have done recursive LSLA in there because it includes the get directory. I was trying to get cute, but yep, not going to work in this time. But yeah, we've got a basic sample set up here. So I don't know, let's add everything and then we'll do a get commit here and we'll just say initial commit, cool, okay. And then we can do a get show here, which is going to show yep, we commit everything on disk there. Everything is good to go. There's a directory structure. We do a get status here. Everything is going to be clean. Everything is going to be good to go. So yeah, this is the scenario now. Let's say that we want to modify that hello file. So I can just echo, I don't know, hello here to that file. It's going to overwrite this file here. And now if we cut out that file here, we can see that we do have the text there. And if we do a get status, get is going to let us know hey, by the way, you made a change to this hello file, but it's not staged to be commit here. It's standard stuff here. And we can run a get diff here and you can be like, oh, okay, cool. Yep, we added that text there. But yeah, let's actually stage this file to be commit now. We can do a get add p here. I've done videos about this one in the past. Very similar to, just adding the file entirely, but now we can actually, go through different chunks and pick them if we want. It's really useful if you have a big file with a lot of different changes where you want to just situationally just choose to stage components of that file, not the whole file itself or partially, So, okay, yep, we're going to do that. Done. Okay, now if we're running get status, we're going to get a little bit of a different output here. We can see that we do have some changes to be commit here. And Git is already giving us some pretty nice help here. Let's say that you just want to unstage those changes that you just did for the specific file here. It actually says hey, by the way, you can run get restore with a stage flag, very important by the way, on the file that you want to unstage. So this is going to be partial answer for the first question that we have. Git's letting us know right away, yep, done. Okay, cool. We can just run a get restore staged here. With the flag there. And then if we run a get status here, that is going to unstage that file. And then we can see that Git is being helpful again with the status command. And now it's saying, well, you can run a get restore on the file. Notice there's no staged flag in this case because it's no longer staged. And this is going to discard the changes in the working tree. Now, we need to be very careful when we run this command. Well, I'm in a throwaway demo directory, but this is a destructive change. You're going to lose the file or you're going to lose the contents of the changes here if you run this command. But let's do it. This is the goal of what we want. We want to revert this file back to what it was initially commit as. So if we just run the get restore here on the file, then we can run our get status here and it's going to show that there's nothing there. And we can cat out this file and that's it. We lost everything in the working directory for the file hello, and that's good. Exactly what we want, right? We want to revert things back to the latest commit here, which is quite nice to do when you're just screwing around with stuff and you just want to experiment. Now, you can do the same exact pattern here. And now we're talking about the second question of, let's say that you have a whole bunch of different modifications. So let me just set that up real fast here. I don't know. I'm just going to play around in some files here. Yep, we can open up this one. I'm just going to put in whatever words here, right? It doesn't really matter. A, and then maybe over here, we'll put in something cool like PPP, why not? And then we do a get status here. And we can see that we have all sorts of different changes here. And we have, multiple things we can do here. If you wanted to repeat the process that we just did, we totally could. So let me just run a get status here. And, we could, do a get add p here. Let's just do it, right? We can do that. We can add it. Yep, that's all looking good, looking good, looking good. And then we do a get status here and we can see yeah, they're all staged to be commit. But now let's say that you want to unstage all of these, right? You can do the get restore just like we did before, staged on the files. We can do one and we can do foo. We get some tab complete from Git, by the way. And then we could do this. Totally works. Not a problem at all. I do this all the time, right? There's 1 or 2 files. Maybe I'll do it. Also, secondly to that, by the way, you can just put in an entire directory here. And, if there were like 10 files in this foo directory here, it's going to recursively do all of that. Great. But, maybe you just have a lot of files, right? And you don't want to manually type out all the different paths here. Pretty easy, right? You could just do a dot here, and that's going to do the same thing. Just all in one shot here. So if we do a get status, then boom, all the changes that were staged are now no longer staged. But if we do a get diff, we can still see we have quite a few changes for all of the changes that we made because the changes still exist on disk. But now, let's say that we want to wipe them out. Well, we can just do the same command that we did before, right? Except this time we'll just drop out the staged flag. And again, we could situationally just put in the file paths manually, but we'll just do the dot. And then if we do a get status here, we can see we're back in business with no diff at all. Done. Cool. So we just solved the second problem here, which is just, unstaging and reverting all of these files that we may have changed. Now, it is worth pointing out too, you don't need to run both of these commands together, right? Like, for example, let me just go back to, the hello file here, whatever, I'll put ABC and then do a get status here. If you didn't already stage the thing to be commit, the file, you can do just a get restore directly on that file now, and then you're done, right? Like we're back to nothing. So you don't need to technically run both commands together. Although there is a nice little trick too. Like if we go back to this echo command that we ran before, let's say that let's say that we did stage it, right? And you need to do both the unstaging and the restoring on the file itself back to the latest commit. You can actually run a one-liner, which is, get restore staged on the file. File in this case is hello. And then we can do a get restore, and then we can just do this little trick here, which is going to take the last argument passed in of the previous command and use that as input for this command here. So, a little bit of a convenience in case you didn't want to duplicate a really long file path, because maybe this is like, 8 directories deep or something like that. But now we can do a get diff here, and we're same thing, just a little bit more convenient, I suppose. Probably not worth creating an alias for, just because, I don't know, right? It's not something you're running all the time, but if you ever wanted to, it's there for you. But now let's say that we want to touch, a new file here. Maybe we'll make a directory again, just called like cool story, like, I don't know, right? And then we do get status here. And we can see now that we've got untracked files, and actually I need to put a file in here. Yep. Because you can't just commit an empty directory here. But if you do a get status here, we can see that we've got untracked files here. And there is no restore option in this case because, well, there's nothing to restore, right? These are untracked files. But, let's say that you're playing around with a project, and this actually comes up quite a bit in real life, right? Like you might be working with some web application that has the ability to generate files. And like, I don't know, maybe you just generated some model or a resource or something like that, and it just dumped out a whole bunch of different files. And, maybe you've done too much modifications, like you can't just run like a delete command with your generator to delete them. But long story short, like maybe you have like 17 files in like, 10 different spots here. And, having to undo all of that by hand, like picking, RM this path and this path and this path and select this in your code editor or whatever, a little bit tedious. But in this case, we can actually use a different command to take care of these untracked files. And that's going to be the get clean command over here. So we can run it with no arguments, and it's going to let us know like a little bit like, hey, you need to do something, right? But the n flag here is for dry run. So we can either run -n or you can do dry run, which is going to just let us know what it actually would delete in this case. So in this case, it is going to delete just the new file here. That's, that we go back to LSA over here. We can see the new file here. But it's interesting in that it didn't even acknowledge this cool directory here. So we actually need to run, if we want to operate on directories as well, we need to put in the -d flag here, which is going to also recursively go through and just delete all these files and directories that may exist, however many directories deep. So, and I don't think there's a long flag for the -d, by the way. You can actually go to the help menu of clean, and I don't recall seeing a long flag for that one. Yeah, so you can see -d here, recursively is going to go through, blah, blah, blah. But for some of the other flags like dry run, there is the short form and the long form. And then, for force and some other stuff that we're going to play around with, it's here as well. So yeah, okay. So we covered a couple of different use cases here, right? Dry run, and of course dry run is just not going to actually do it, but it's going to let you know what's going to be deleted, which is a really good idea, right? This is a very destructive action, right? The file is going to be deleted on disk. You don't want to accidentally delete the wrong files there. So it's really nice to do a dry run just ahead of time. And it gets even kind of interesting too. Like, we saw also, by the way, interact or using directories here. But if you wanted to do this interactively, like let's say you don't want to do a dry run, you can do -I for interactive, or -- interactive. And then, yeah, let's also just always keep the D flag at the end there. Why not? Because let's do it recursively. But you can now interactively say that, yep, you know what? I want to, one, I can clean this. You can further filter it down. Yeah, pretty nice, right? Just interactive. You can do one file at a time. I don't know. Let's quit out though, because I actually don't want to interactively do these things. But you could just step through and choose on a file by file basis. Which one do I want to do? Do I want to clean it? Do I want to quit? Do I want to, I don't know. It's up to you. It could be very safe if you have a very sensitive thing. Maybe you didn't copy the directory somewhere else as a backup or whatever. But the other option, which honestly I use a little bit more often, is the force one, which is going to just delete everything, including directories here. It's not going to prompt me. It's not going to be interactive. It's just going to work. Very similar to if you're doing the RM command, if you do -F there. So it's like, well, there we go, done. Okay, files are gone completely. If I do get status here, we can see that they are good to go and they are not there. Now, there are a couple other flags that you may want to play around with. Honestly, this usually is enough to just get me going, but you could potentially may want to run some other flags. I'm not going to go over all of them, by the way. But yeah, this one over here, like only remove files ignored by Git. That could be interesting to use. Like, they mentioned here you may be wanting to rebuild everything from scratch, but keep manually created files, like, I don't know, maybe some build related files or something like that you don't want to delete, but they are ignored from Git. Or actually, it's the other way around. You want to remove all of those build files that are ignored by Git, but you want to keep everything else. Yeah, a little bit confusing. Well, not really, but yeah, the option is there if you want to play around with that. We don't have an example of this one, but whatever. I guess I can probably touch a gitignored file here just to see how that works, because usually seeing how things work is a little bit nice here. And I don't know, let's say in the gitignored file, we want to ignore, I don't know. No, that's a really bad name. I was going to name it ignored, but yeah, let's say we want to ignore the world. Okay, so if we touch a file called world here, then this is going to be gitignored. So if we do a get status here, we would expect not to see anything there because the world, the file world is gitignored. Well, yes, okay, there is one file here, the gitignored. Let's actually commit that because why not? -A commit. Well, it's not an initial commit anymore. So like, add ignore file, whatever. I'm going to be deleting this demo repo. Git commit messages aren't important here. But yeah, if we run to get status here, we can see that, yep, done. Okay, so now let's also, touch another file just so we can demonstrate the differences of using the clean command with that X flag there. So we can see here, let's run a get clean. Let's do a dry run, which is -N here, and it's going to, just remove another file here, but could we also do the -X flag? What would that do? That is just going to remove the files that are gitignored here. So yeah, you just have that separation there if for whatever reason you want to do one or the other. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, like what are some of your tips and tricks here for just deleting specific files and directories. Maybe they're staged, maybe they're not. On that note, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up because it really does help a lot. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video.